See, this is the problem right here. You got two people, instead of debating policy and what's best for a city or a state or a country, all they're doing is yelling at each other about things that they should actually be on the same page on. So this comes from social media fodder, and it was a back and forth between Riley Gaines, who is, I guess you would call her a social media influencer. You see her on Fox. She was in the studio a couple of years ago when, I guess was, almost 4 years ago now. She was in the studio here at KCMO when she was campaigning with Derek Schmidt for governor of Kansas. And that was as she was just starting to get famous. She was a former swimmer at Kentucky. She lost a race to that dude, Will Thomas, out of Penn, who was doing the old nip and tuck and pretending to be a woman as he was swimming in women's swim meets around the country at the NCAA level. And Riley Gaines was the first one to call this out for the insanity that it was. And that was the start of her rise. So Riley Gaines recently became a mother for the first time, and God bless her for that. And she's going back and forth with AOC. So Riley Gaines goes on Fox News last night and says this about New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Here's what I will say. I want to honestly challenge AOC to a debate. She can defend socialism. I will defend capitalism. She can defend removing God. I will defend embracing a biblical worldview. She can defend child sacrifice. I will defend the sanctity of life. Any of the radical, insane democratic policies and platform that they stand for, I will debate the opposite. I'm challenging AOC to it here.
Well, I thought you were going to challenge her to like a freestyle, 100 freestyle or something. I'm like, that's
that too.
That's an unfair fight. Or
a fair fight to her is putting a man in the pool.
So she says, hey, I want to challenge her to a debate. Capitalism versus socialism, a biblical worldview versus obviously more of this atheist socialist worldview that AOC and many others have. Let's talk about it. Whatever. I mean, she's going on TV. She's making some comments. Provocative, opinionated. That's her job. She didn't knock AOC's looks. She didn't say anything about AOC's personal life. Nothing, right? Well, this clip on social media gets traction last night. Riley Gaines shares it. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has the audacity to respond to it, saying, and I would like to challenge this person to get a real job. Nobody in Congress should suggest that anybody else doesn't have a real job.
I thought it was just me.
No, it's not. That's the first thing here. You are in Congress. You do nothing. Literally nothing. You are not working right now and collecting a paycheck. If there is ever a time when, by the way, air traffic controllers aren't getting a dime, other government employees aren't getting paid, Congress is getting paid. If there's ever a time to not use that zinger when you're a member of Congress, it's literally in the middle of a government shutdown when you're getting paid for not working and other people aren't. So the timing of this by AOC was horrific. And then you think about the fact that Riley Gaines, first off, is a media member, whether you like what she says or not. That's what she does. And she's also a new mom. And Riley Gaines responded to this by saying, I have a real job. I'm a mom. It's the most important and rewarding job in the world. I think if you had a baby girl like I do, you'd understand my positions a little better. And that right there is the crux of the conversation. You have two political parties that are trending in very different directions, especially with younger people. Under 40, I think there's actually a bigger divide between the right and the left than there is as you go up the age group. And I'm just explaining that because under 40 folks on the left are largely single and or no kids. Under 40 on the right, largely married with kids. There is a huge divide in that under 40, which includes AOC and Riley Gaines' demographic. You could say it's under 35, whatever you want to call it. But as someone who's in that demographic, I'm telling you, it is a very stark difference between the right and the left in that subgroup. Because when you haven't done things like have a child, when you haven't lived that life, and you don't see something like, hey, a boy competing against my daughter as the father of 3 is not something I want to have happen. You view it differently when it's your own kids. When it's not viewed through this weird political prism of, oh my goodness, but what's fair to everybody? All I know is what's fair to the girls. All I know is what's fair to my daughters. And that's what Riley Gaines was getting at there. If AOC had a baby girl, or a baby boy, or in AOC's eyes, a they, them, I don't know, whatever. If you had a child, you might see the other side a little bit better. Like I can see the bleeding heart angle of what AOC and Bernie Sanders and this guy Mamdani in New York City running for mayor, and even some people on the city council in Kansas City, like a Jonathan Duncan character who represents South KC. I can understand where their bleeding heart comes from. I really can. I don't think they have any idea how to understand what I believe and how to understand what many of you, not all of you, believe. I'm not going to speak for everybody in this audience at all. But they can't see it because their worldview is so radically different. And their bleeding heart is one that they really think just hasn't been tried properly in the right setting to work. And that's time and time again what this comes back to. Their ideology, when implemented, fails every single time. But they convince themselves that it has not been tried properly, it has not been tried correctly, and that's why whether it's New York, whether it's America by and large in a future administration, if only their agenda gets implemented properly, it's going to work this time. Just wait. It's going to work. Promise you it's going to work. Even though you can't find a time in American history when it ever has worked, or worldwide history when it ever has worked. You can't. But thinking about the difference right now between young people and how they see the world, how they analyze the current political landscape, especially on the younger end of the demographic, is so much about, first off, what you have, marriage and kids, or what you want to have. There is a growing percentage of young men in particular in this country who are moving to the right because they want that family. They want to be married. They want to have kids. They want to have a house. They want to be led by their faith. They want those things. And that's why they're dramatically shifting to the right, because those are the things that they're seeking out of their lives going forward. They see it being a very successful model and platform to living a happy, healthy, and fulfilled life. And you have other people mostly driven by jealousy, mostly driven by, yeah, but someone else has something I don't. Someone else should be paying. I mean, you saw, if you didn't see it, there were chants the other night at this rally in New York City with this guy, Mamdani. AOC was there. Bernie Sanders was there. And all they're screaming about is taxing the rich. They literally had that chant going, tax the rich, tax the rich. There's not a place in America outside of California that does a better job of taxing the rich. But it's never enough. Never is. And for Riley Gaines to point out the obvious here, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, in a lot of this debate, whether it's on the social issues or the big political issues of our day, spend a day in my shoes. Have that kid, and you might see the world differently, AOC. I don't know if that's something that AOC is interested in doing, but I'll tell you right now, I know it changed the way I look at the world, even though I basically had, for the most part, the same worldview pre-kids that I do post-kids. I will admit that. The things that you care about, where you stack up your priorities, do change. It's just the way of the world. And Riley Gaines wisely pointing out the obvious last night to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And still, the congressperson claiming the mom doesn't have a real job, man, that is a great way to create a political divide in this country that I don't think AOC is going to cut in your favor. Please try it, but I really don't think it's going to cut in your favor. 913-408-7957, the text line, and the studio line on KCMO. On the text line, Pete, don't forget, Sandy, AOC, used to be a bartender before she was a member of Congress. Yeah, that's more of a real job than her current job is. That's a hard job, man, being a bartender, staying up all night, making sure the bar's happy. I mean, that's real work. I haven't done it, but you see people do it really well. That is a tough job. That's way more work than what she's doing right now. So I'm not going to knock her for being a bartender. That's big time work right there. All right, that's helping people out. That's doing something.